1 in 10 kids will be sexually abused before they reach their 18th birthday. That's 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls. But only 1 in 3 will tell anyone because they don't know that it's wrong, or they don't know who they can trust with their secret. It's estimated that 400,000 children every year are sexually abused, costing the US $9.3 billion annually. 93% of the time, those who perpetuate sexual acts against children are someone the child knows. 59% are acquaintances like teachers, neighbors, and community members, and 34% are family members, and only 7% are strangers. This tells us that predators are most often going to be someone who has gained access to the child with approval of their guardians. The 2017 film Abducted in Plain Sight tells the horrifying but true story of a family who became close with a charming neighbor who got close with the family in order to sexually molest their 12-year-old daughter, Jan. He built trust with them and even established a sexual relationship with both of the parents as a way to control them. And this allowed him to kidnap Jan twice. And because of the complicated bond he had formed with her parents, they didn't even report this for days. And ultimately, the perpetrator served only 10 days in jail for his crimes of kidnapping and repeatedly raping a 12-year-old child. We can hear this story and feel complete horror and incredulity. However, this is exactly how an abuser works. And that's why only 29% of reported child sexual abuse cases will lead to a police arrest. This is a premeditated, strategic plan of manipulation that often happens in phases over time. Here are the 6 steps of grooming for sexual abuse. Stage 1 is targeting the victim. They will identify their victim based on vulnerabilities that they feel can be used. Stage 2 is gaining the victim's trust. So they may pose as a friend and begin the conversation, identifying what their needs are. This could be for protection, love, or a combination of things. And the abuser may also try to gain the trust of the parents or others in the child's life so that they can have easy access to the child. Stage 3 is filling a need. The abuser will use the vulnerabilities that they've identified and promise to fulfill them. This may be accompanied by physical gifts or digital currency. Stage 4 is to isolate the child. The abuser will then remove their victim's safety net. So they will not encourage the victim towards other healthy relationships, and they will also try to convince them that others in their life are not trustworthy and that they don't care. Stage 5 is going to be when the abuser starts to sexualize the relationship. So at this stage, the abuser will test the waters of control by subtly asking for sexually risque photos or videos, or even asking the child sexually provocative questions. Stage 6 is maintaining control. So this is the stage where that friendly mask comes off. The abuser will use fear, shame, and manipulation to keep the child from seeking help. Some of the reasons that most children will never come forward are that the abuser has threatened the safety of their loved ones, if this is a parent, sister, brother, or pet. They didn't understand the difference between love and abuse, and they have complicated and sometimes even sexual feelings towards that abuser, or they were too ashamed and felt forever dirty and damaged. All it takes is a single moment in the right conditions for this abuse to occur, and the effects on victims often have a lifetime consequence on their mind, soul, and body. Medically, sexual abuse can present as depression, anxiety, irritable bowel syndrome, back or pelvic pain, or sleeping problems. They may feel disgusted with their body and engage in harmful actions like self-harm or an eating disorder in order to find control. Behaviorally, kids may also act out sexually or aggressively and are actually 4 times more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol as a way to escape. The scars carried into adulthood are deep for survivors of childhood sexual abuse. In fact, sex traffickers will actually target victims who have been sexually abused before because often there wasn't an allowance for healthy boundaries to develop. And there is a deep shame or a lack of self-worth that traffickers will use to their advantage. This is an exploitation of vulnerability.